Modern Meadow is a biofabrication company that aims to transform the material world by using innovative biotech. It designs and produces biologically advanced materials, all of which are animal-free. We met with Dave Williamson, Chief Technology Officer, to see how this innovative biotech actually works.
Here at Modern Meadow, we are pioneering the engineering of advanced biological materials. And in so doing, we combine design, material science, and biology together to build those materials from the basic building blocks, proteins, and then assembling them into the new materials.
Wow, all without using any animals.
All without using any animals.
Can we look around?
Sure. So you're standing in the lab. That's the beginning of our biofabrication process, where we engineer our yeast to produce our collagen, which is our building blocks for our materials.
The product that you start with is yeast, and eventually, through what we're going to see, you can make that into these materials, these leather-like materials.
That's absolutely correct.
Wow.
By understanding the basic building blocks of life like a computer program, we're able to engineer that information, insert that into our yeast to engineer a cell factory, like factories that make other things in the world, like beer or wine, and a fermentation process. Our yeast carry out a fermentation process, and instead of wine or beer, they make protein. Each circle represents a single clone of a cell factory.
I'm assuming that you've highlighted the promising cell factories.
That's exactly right. So what we can do is we can look at this dish and we can identify individual characteristics of each cell factory. And based on those characteristics, we can then select them using this machine. It allows us to go through tens of thousands of these colonies a week instead of having a person do that. What we'll do next is we'll actually look at the individual clones we've selected and look inside at their DNA. We'll look at how healthy they are and their ability to make really high quality protein very efficiently.
What happens in this lab?
This is our fermentation lab. We take the strains and then we grow them up. So they're like little animals. They need food and nutrition to grow. We look at all of the ways that we can optimize that productivity of the organism themselves.
It's a liquid right now. How is this eventually going to turn into the material, your end product?
We're looking for the protein, the collagen inside the cell. So we recover it, we extract the protein, purify it, and then that goes on into our materials team.
Once fermentation is done, what is the next step of the process?
What we need to do after we carry out the fermentation is really understand how well that fermentation is carried out. And an essential step in our biofabrication process is understanding that fact. And that's what we do here in this analytical lab. Because great cells, or healthy cells, make great proteins, and great proteins make great materials.
And so the winners, so to speak, will go on to make those great materials.
That's right.
This is the last step of the process.
That's correct. Part of the process of making leather is a step that's called tanning. And the next step would then be to dry in a very slow, controlled way. And then from there, we might apply some sort of a surface finish that you would see on a traditional leather. So if we head right over here to the dryer, which is really the last step of our process.
It looks a lot like leather. How long does it take from tip to tail to make this material?
So from engineering the cell through to the final drying stages of the material is about 2.5 weeks. And if you compare that against the time it takes to grow an animal and collect the hide, which is about 2.5 years, this is much quicker. It has a unique characteristic that we've engineered into the material. And in contrast to, working with a hide to have that character, we can engineer it in that material.
So it really does seem that this is the material of the future.
It is, and we think that this is one of many families of materials that we're going to be able to create. In fact, this is an example where we can take a very similar technology but apply our design aesthetic to it. And this is really where the design meets the material science.